the kid with flavor. It's your boy, Waver, man, coming with another video. Now, look, we got top 3 near-death experiences after visiting every country, you feel me? Is that the right title? I don't know. But y'all will see it on top. But, hey, let's get right into it.
After visiting every country in the world, I can tell you that the chances of running into trouble are quite high. Put the camera down. Especially in places like Sao Paulo, Brazil, where I am right now. Getting robbed, scammed, or kidnapped are serious concerns that every traveler should be aware of. Holy I've had many close encounters in war-torn countries and conflict zones. And unfortunately, I've had my fair share of hospital visits. Oh man.
In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 near-death experiences that still traumatize me to this day.
I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, Haiti.
I went to Haiti a few months ago, and man, it was one of the most intense experiences of my entire life. So Port-au-Prince is probably in the top 3 most dangerous places in the world. I mean, nowhere there can you just stop and chill and get a shoe shine on the side of the street, and I mean it. Gangs are controlling the whole city, so I made a local friend named Sean.
How we doing, man? Nice to meet you.
And he knows the gang members, so he took me inside a place called Cité Soleil, which is, man, I'm just trying to catch my breath here as I think about what I saw. Truck barricaded, trash everywhere.
The smell of that trash burning is horrific.
Fully big weaponed gangs that are controlling this area. So when you go down the long road to get to the checkpoint, you see all these gangsters. And when I say
Damn, what y'all doing in that
guys with
situation,
grills in
bro?
their teeth, teardrop tattoos, neck tattoos, and massive automatic weapons that you'd have to see to believe. They run and greet you with the car and they're like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Give me money, give me money. That moment was the closest I've ever been to getting kidnapped in my life.
Are you sure we're gonna be okay, man?
Yeah, we good. Don't worry.
I was planning on it happening and figuring out how I was gonna get out of the situation. Sure enough, we just ended up paying them off and I trusted Sean and they let us in. Then I had to go meet the chief of the whole slum and he took me inside and we met in this sketchy room with blasting music, and then I had to slap like $1,000 in his hand and I had to pay him more after that. That was just the beginning part. And then he appointed his soldiers, which are basically thugs with weapons, to come join us and escort us around. 6 of them.
This guy's working with a bag of bullets.
Damn.
And a bulletproof vest.
And then as I walked around, I interviewed the guys and they told me that in order to be a soldier and get a weapon, you have to do a series of kidnappings. And I was like, oh great, cool.
No way he's gonna
Walking
do
around
it, bro.
Cité Soleil, I saw things that nobody should ever see. There were houses that were completely flooded because they didn't have the means to leave, and when the rain comes, this lady was walking in like ankle high of water in her house. I mean, it was super sad.
She would love to rent another house, but she doesn't have the need.
I've never been to a community where there's literally no place to buy water or food. They literally have nothing. There's no jobs, and there's a lot of people there. It's really, really, really intense. Gunshots are everywhere. You hear them when you walk around. The feeling of just being so hesitant and the feeling of presence around you that are just staring at you, and at any given moment things can go bad, was very much a threat to me and my safety. And you might ask, why did I do it? And it's because I'm really curious about how other people are living around the world, and I will go the extra mile to find human stories in these places and try to find positivity. But here in Cité Soleil, I didn't find anything. If you're from Haiti and watching this, I'm sorry to say this, but the country really is going through rough times, and I hope it can be better, because when I went on the airplane flying in, it was beautiful views and it has a lot of potential as a beautiful destination in the Caribbean, but things got to be fixed. I mean, the president was assassinated. They haven't really replaced him since then. I just read in the news recently that, like, no thank you, okay. I just read in the news recently that one of the jails was broken loose and all the criminals are running on the streets. Anyways, Haiti's a mess. I hope to go back someday when it's a little safer and a little better, but for now, I'm in no hurry.
India really scary like that?
A young budget backpacker with a big afro, and I was traveling around the world, making money as a travel blogger and Snapchatter back in the day before YouTube. All right, this story gives me a lot of PTSD when I think back, but I was at the tail end of a 3-month journey around India, spending $500 a month, doing it super budget. Really enjoyed it, loved it, but India is really intense. My true colors came out in that trip, and I learned more about myself than any other trip I've ever taken.
I know the insects there are crazy,
and I was on a bus
and the animals.
from Udaipur to Jodhpur, which is about a 10-hour overnight bus. I was the only foreigner on the bus, the only English speaker, and I was on the top deck. It was a double-decker. So at midnight, bus leaves. When I got on the bus, I remembered feeling that it was kind of creaky. It was like a little weird. It was an old bus, and I remember feeling a little uncomfortable. But anyways, I just went with the flow. I went to my upper bunk, and I walked in, and I went up the ladder, and I laid down. About an hour into the bus ride, I was just getting cozy. I had my headphones in, I was listening to some music, and I was kind of dozing off, but I was still very much awake. Out of nowhere, the bus driver slams on the brakes, turned the wheel to the left, and the bus flew off the freeway over the median. We probably dropped about 5 feet. We were probably going about 50 miles an hour.
Damn.
The bus completely flipped over on the side that I was laying on. So literally my nose was like 3 inches from the ground. All the windows shattered, everybody screaming and crying. There were babies on board. I remember there was so much dirt and glass in the air and so much chaos that when I opened my eye to look up, I had to look through the little crack on my fingers because I could barely see anything because of all the debris. And there was a kid's shoe right above me because he was hanging, he was holding onto the pole. About 10 minutes later, which felt like 10 weeks later, I had to get out of the bus. I'm seeing blood everywhere, people screaming and crying, and it was literally like a horror film. It was the scariest moment of my life to this day. In order to get out of the bus, I had to go through the side, which all the windows were shattered, so I had to go through, and then I was standing on top, and then I had to jump down, which was like a 10-foot jump down, and I had all my bags with me. So there I am, going up, seeing blood everywhere and seeing people that are like stuck in the bus. The bus kind of split and people were like stuck in it. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. But I get out the bus, I'm standing on the side of the road shaking like this for an hour. People are coming out screaming and crying, and I'm getting guys that are doing this sign signifying that 2 people were stuck in the bus and they didn't make it out alive. And I know that because they told me and I saw them. Sorry, I feel like someone's gonna steal the GoPro out of my hand right now, so I'm holding it down. People are approaching me. It's funny that I'm telling this story when I'm in a sketchy street corner in Sao Paulo. Anyways, yeah, so long story short, I get out of the bus, I'm waiting on the side of the road for like 3 hours, and another bus comes and picks me up and takes me to Jodhpur, which is another like 8 hours, and the whole time I'm literally shaking. Like every time the bus hit the brake, I was like freaking out.
Yeah, I don't have PTSD too,
and
bro.
I remember calling my mom, and she was like, you need to get on the next plane home. And I had a beard out to here. I had just been in India for 3 months. And the craziest part to end this story was I was going to Kathmandu right after to hike the base camp of Mount Everest. And when I was on the plane, the massive earthquake hit where 10,000 people died, and we felt the earth shaking when I was on the runway in Delhi because it's not that far from Kathmandu. That was 1 week after the bus crashed. And after that, I went back to Chicago. I was in total shock. And yeah, that was a really scary time in my life. My next
Syria and
experience happened to
Yemen.
me in Syria and in Yemen, and they both have to do with being almost in a terrorist attack. Let's start off in Syria. First off, Syria is amazing. I had a great time there, and I really hope to go back. I love the people, the culture. The country's gone through some really rough times in the last 15 years with war and everything, but I was scheduled to go. Man, I almost just lost my GoPro. Literally, this dude walked up taking a selfie, and he kind of jolted at me, and I walked away. I'm not joking. Maybe I should sit down here and have a coffee while I tell this story. Hello, cafe? Uno? Obrigado. Okay, so Syria. Good morning from Damascus, my very first day in Syria, country number 183. I was heading to a place called Palmyra, which is in the desert, kind of on the eastern side of the country. And it's an old historic town, it's a UNESCO site, it's really, really cool ruins. And I was really excited to go. And we were in the car, we were heading there. It's a long drive, it's like 4 hours or something. And while we're in the car, we get a call that there's been an attack at the checkpoint that we're about to cross. I don't know how far we were from the checkpoint, maybe a half hour, an hour. And there was gunfire and people died at that checkpoint. There was an attack, an explosion. We just missed it. So we turned back and went to Damascus. I can't imagine what would have happened if we were at that checkpoint when that happened. The next almost terrorist attack that I just missed was in Shibam, Yemen. So Yemen's also a really crazy, cool country. I happen to love it.
Beautiful, untouched nature. Unbelievable.
I think all things considered, as a tourist, it's the most dangerous country in the world. Mainland Yemen, not Socotra. And I was on an 8-day road trip by myself with a local friend in mainland Yemen. And we were in the southern parts. There's this really cool old town in the desert called Shibam. It's a UNESCO site. It's called Manhattan of the Desert because there's like 15th century buildings that are made of mud brick, and they're like 10, 15, 20 floors high. And it's super old, like 500-600 years old. And I really wanted to see it. So I'm with my guide, Abdul, who was pretty sketchy the whole time. And similar to the Syria story, we're about to roll up to the checkpoint. My guy gets a call, turn around right now. There was an attack at the checkpoint, literally.
Oh my God.
And my guide was pretty cool. He kept a composure the whole time. He was pretty chill. Like, he didn't really show signs of fear or danger. And at that moment, he was like, holy shit, we need to leave right now, right now. So we turn around. The problem was, we needed to go through Shibam to get to the next city, and there was only 2 roads to get to the city, and then we had to turn and divert the other way. So we waited out like an hour, and then we ended up taking the other kind of backcountry road to get back to Shibam. So not where the explosion was, around.
Bro's
And we
playing
took
Russian
about
roulette with his
5
life, bro.
minutes, literally 5 minutes to explore the town. I remember running around, taking pictures, meeting people. It was the coolest place I've been in the Middle East, Shibam. I'm telling you, these skyscrapers in the desert, it's so awesome, so awesome.
Shabam.
I went to a nearby mountain and I got this cool drone shot looking down at Shibam. But I only was able to
That's
spend
fire.
5 minutes on the street there. End up, there really was an attack. We just missed it by literally 10 minutes, and I got in, got out. I have more stories about almost missing terrorist attacks. There was a place in Banyan, Afghanistan. A week after I left, it was blown up and 30 people in the same market I was shooting at was killed. And also in Baghdad, the last time I went there, I was shooting in this big market. The day that I flew out, which was the day after I was shooting, another big attack. Literally the same street stalls that I was featuring in my video, the same street vendors are no longer there. So why am I telling this stuff? It's because it happened, and because I like to be honest and transparent during my travels and let you guys know that it's not always rainbows and ponies. Like, just hit the fan, and I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hey man, that's the end of the video, man. Like, comment, subscribe. We out.